The town of Willow's End was small and silent. It was the kind of place that seemed frozen in time, with misty lakes and old woods. The Airbnb house stood alone at the end of a gravel road, surrounded by towering pines. It looked welcoming, with its cozy porch and warm lights. But something felt off. The air was too still, too quiet. Even the wind seemed to whisper secrets as it moved through the trees. The house, with its charming exterior, hid something darker beneath its creaking floors and behind its peeling paint. Sarah and John arrived as the sun set. The glow cast long shadows across the house, making it look like something out of a ghost story. They were here for a quiet weekend away from the city, unaware of what awaited them. The key was under the mat, just as the host had instructed. The door creaked open, revealing a hallway that stretched into darkness. The echo of their footsteps sounded like a warning, a sign that they were not alone. As they explored, the house seemed to breathe with them, each step stirring whispers from the shadows. The air felt heavy, loaded with a story begging to be told. They laughed nervously, trying to shake off the feeling of being watched. The first night was restless. As the moon cast its silver light, strange noises filled the house. It started with a soft tapping, like someone gently knocking on the walls. Sarah tried to convince herself it was just the house settling. Then came the whispers. Low and indistinct, they seemed to float up through the floorboards, words tangled in the wind. John thought he heard his name, a sigh carried across the cold night air. Their sleep was fitful, filled with uneasy dreams. Shadows danced across the room as the wind howled outside. They woke frequently, each sound a thread pulling them deeper into the house's eerie embrace. On the second day, while exploring the attic, Sarah noticed a small door hidden behind a trunk. It was locked, but curiosity burned too bright. They found a key in a dusty drawer downstairs, old and forgotten. The door opened with a reluctant groan. Inside was a small room, untouched by time. It was filled with old toys, a rocking horse still in motion as if someone had just left. The air was colder here, thick with silence. They felt a chill run down their spines as they entered. The room felt alive, watching, waiting. There was a sense of sorrow woven into the walls, a story of loss and longing sealed away in the dark. Section 5, Shadows and Secrets, Unraveling the Past. They began to ask around town. The locals, well, they spoke in hushed tones about the house. It was once home to a little girl named Emily who vanished without a trace. Her room, they said, was the one Sarah and John had found. The town had long whispered about Emily's disappearance. Some said she was taken by the woods, others that she had never left the house. Her parents had moved away, broken by grief, the house left to hold the secret of her fate. Night fell, and with it, a deeper dread settled in their hearts. They could feel Emily's presence, a sorrowful echo in the halls. The house seemed to mourn, its sorrow as palpable as the creeping fog outside. Section 6. The Diary, Unveiled Truths. In the hidden room, under a loose floorboard, John found a diary. It was small, covered in dust, its pages yellowed with age. The diary belonged to Emily. It was full of her thoughts, her fears, and a secret she hadn't told anyone. Emily wrote about a figure she called the Shadow Man, who visited her at night. She drew pictures of him in her diary, dark and blurry, with eyes that seemed to follow you. She was scared, the words shaky and desperate. They read her last entry, written in a frantic scrawl. It spoke of a plan to confront the Shadow Man, to make him go away forever. But the diary ended abruptly, the final pages torn out. What had happened to Emily in this house? Section 7, Ghostly Encounters, The Haunting Begins. That night, the haunting began. Shadows moved with purpose and the air turned icy. Emily's voice echoed through the halls, her whispers more desperate. She was searching for something, or perhaps someone. They saw her, a fleeting glimpse in the mirror. A small girl, her eyes hollow with sadness. She appeared and vanished like a breath on glass. The house groaned under the weight of its hidden grief. Doors slammed shut by themselves and the lights flickered. The presence of Emily grew stronger, her story etched into every corner of the house. Sarah and John could feel her loneliness, her unresolved sorrow pulling them deeper into the mystery. The stormy night unleashed terror itself. A storm broke out, fierce and unrelenting. The house shook as if in the grip of a giant hand. Thunder roared and lightning flashed, illuminating the house in bursts of ghostly light. They could hear Emily crying, her sobs lost in the wind. The Shadow Man appeared that night. He was taller than the shadows, his form flickering like static. His eyes were pits of despair, his gaze paralyzing. John and Sarah felt a terror they had never known. They ran, the house alive with Emily's screams and the Shadow Man's whispers. Doors locked themselves, windows shattered, and the darkness seemed to chase them, hungry and relentless. They found themselves trapped in the living room as the house turned against them. The walls bled shadows, and the air screamed. Emily's voice guided them, leading them to a hidden passage beneath the stairs. The passage was narrow, choked with cobwebs and dust. They crawled, driven by fear, the sound of the storm muffled by the earth. Behind them, the house raged, a beast in agony. They emerged outside, the storm still raging, but the house now silent behind them. They ran through the woods, the ground slippery beneath their feet. The house faded into the night, its secrets buried once more. They never went back. The experience haunted them, a nightmare that lingered in their waking hours. They spoke little of what happened, the memory too raw, too painful. The house stood silent in Willow's End, waiting. Others would come, drawn by curiosity, by the charm of a quaint Airbnb listing. The secrets of the house, of Emily and the Shadow Man, remained, whispered by the wind. Questions lingered. Who was the Shadow Man? What had truly happened to Emily? The house held the answers, locked within its walls, silent as the grave. This tale of terror, trapped within the walls of an ordinary Airbnb, reminds us that stories are everywhere, waiting to be told. If this story chilled your spine, stirred your curiosity, then share it. Like it, comment, let the tale of the house in Willow's End spread. Who knows what secrets others have found in seemingly innocent places? Share your stories, delve into the mysteries, and keep the spirit of the tale alive. Because sometimes the most ordinary places hide the darkest secrets.